All right. Well, good morning again for another Yes Way Jose program. And as long as I still have my name on the podcast,
are you still the special guest of all time?
I'm still special guest of all time. I enjoy the honor, but when do I get paid?
I don't know. My wife keeps asking. She's like, when are you going to tell him that he's the host?
Well, okay. We'll make it official today on the number 24th episode. I am officially the host.
Officially the host. There we go.
If I haven't done it in the first 23 episodes, at least I've done it this time here. So actually, we're glad to have you. Good morning again. And we always remember our schedule when we talk about things here, how they fit is when the podcast comes out.
Oh, yeah, we're always perfect with the schedule. We never talk about things that have already happened.
Yeah, we actually have a drug test policy for the folks that actually run the program, so be careful what you say on the show. But anyway, good morning again. We obviously start out with a few things that we got going on. We always like to make sure we just did our spooktacular. I witnessed the mask.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, did it look good?
Yeah, the costume has been unveiled.
Yeah, see, I kept that top secret. I kept that close.
Was that a mask? Was it actually a mask?
Yeah, I can tell you the last 2 years we did Jack and Sally last year, if you remember. Then we did this with the mask, and she's the Hoochie Mama in the movie thing.
Yeah.
So that's what my wife was.
It was a good mask because it almost looked like a prosthetic. Like, you know what I mean?
It did. It was really big. Yeah.
Have you seen some of this stuff on social media? They actually have some really cool masks. The old man look face. I've seen it. It comes through the threads, and I would love a mask like that. But I'm telling you, those masks, they get hot.
Oh, I would imagine,
I guarantee it.
Oh, man. Yeah, I lose like 5 pounds just wearing it for like 10 minutes.
Just sweating all over your face.
Oh, yeah. But I actually, and this is funny because Amber, my community planner, she actually got a time when they were doing the contest, they were actually checking everybody out, that they took a video of me dancing. I'll have to show it to you. It's on Amber, I think it's on our Shepherdsville page. And it's just a little skit because, they come out there, you got to judge in. I don't know what my wife was. I was out there just doing a little dance with the mask on. And it's really hard because you got to look through the eyeballs. And, like you don't fall down.
Don't bump into anybody.
Yeah. So, but it was fun. Anyway, so we had that. Obviously, we have our food truck invasion because that was around the hurricane season. Tornado season or whatever season.
Yeah, they got
season.
hurricaned out. Yeah. In Kentucky.
Yeah. That's a great one. Anyway, so we did that piece. And then obviously, Light Up Shepherdsville's coming up. We got a lot of things during the holidays. So it's a good time of the year. I like it. I like fall.
Oh, I do too.
I was thinking about that this morning. When I walked out and saw like the.
You were thinking about how much
I was.
You like
no, I
fall.
was. I swear. It was like a thought that I had like
your
half
pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah, I was like, fall's pretty beautiful. All right, and I was like, I walked outside and I was like, orange leaves, guys? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's like, my wife likes all seasons, but my daughter loves Halloween.
Yeah,
and loves the fall season kind of thing. So it's a really good time. And I want to make sure anybody that when you watch this, we have an officer in this podcast today. He's not arresting Eli and Travis after the show.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
so far,
we'll see what happens.
We'll have to see how the show goes. But anyway, so we got a lot of good things coming up here. The election's coming up. The election, obviously, for the country, right? So we'll ask.
Kind of a big one.
Yeah, kind of a big one. This is going to be kind of a crazy one. But obviously, we have local elections too, and obviously, I try to encourage people. You need to get to know if you're going to complain. First of all, vote. Then you can complain. But the other piece in this is that why don't you know the people that are running?
Yeah.
Get to know the folks. I mean, in social media is a great way to find out good or bad about these folks that are running. And I'm encouraging people that even in council races, just get to know them. We want good people out there that are thinking about the community, that are thinking about what's best for kids and families over the next 5, 10, 20 years.
Right.
So get to know those candidates. Anyway, vote. And
if you come out to the food truck invasion, a lot of them will probably be there. You can meet them.
Yes.
You can meet them there. There you go.
And so we'll get that worked out. All right. Well, we get through our little grocery list. But we have a special guest today. And all of my life, I've never met him on the other side of being one of the cars that he's in. But we have our police chief, Steve Schmidt, here today. So good morning, Steve.
Thank you. Welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, the biggest thing is we just want to have different people on here. And if you do think that they're being inappropriate, you can't arrest them after the show. If you feel like it.
No, I don't think they will be. I'm still trying to take in how this is going to go when one of the first things is Hoochie Mama is brought up.
If anybody's going to, just for the record, if anybody's going to be inappropriate on this podcast, it's you.
It's
100%.
That's 100%
Yeah,
true.
it's no doubt.
I don't know. They're taking bets that it's going to be me. There's people lined up just waiting to see what happens. So,
we'll have a competition.
I love competition, Chief. I think I want to tell you a little story about Chief that didn't know him at all. We went through a process as I was running for mayor, and I met with a lot of folks, nine different candidates over 8 months. And I really felt like Steve was the guy that we needed for a transitional piece, really to kind of calm the waters a little bit. and it's not working out. So now this might be his last day in City Hall. So I just wanted you all to know. No, all kidding aside, I'm honored to have him as my chief. I think he's done a great job with this. Great transition with a lot of things. There's some challenges, and so. Chief, I just want you to talk a little bit about, first of all, a little bit about you got a family. I mean, somebody does love you. And some kids. Hey, somebody's got to love the guy.
There you go.
And just a little bit about what you want people to know about you, first of all, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what your vision is for Shepherdsville.
Sure, and my running thing is I just want to make it through this interview before you fire me again. It seems to be a weekly occurrence, but we'll get through that.
It's a weekly thing. I always fire him on Friday and hire him back on Monday. It seems
That's
like
a good deal.
It works out good for him.
And make sure you don't have to work weekends.
Do you get any sign-on bonuses or anything?
No, nothing like that. Haven't got that yet, so we'll work on that. Just happily married, lovely wife, 2 children, 4 grandchildren that they keep me running constantly. We all live out here in Bullitt County, different areas. So we're vested in this community. Like to see things that we're always going to a ball game or something for school related with the grandchildren. As far as background, kind of had a varied background. As soon as I turned 21, I was hired in Bowling Green. Spent about 3 years down there. Had a chance to come back, home. So I transferred to the Jefferson County Police, which of course we've then merged with Louisville Metro and became that. I retired from them in 2008. Set out for a little bit, went back to work to Jeffersontown Police and stayed there about 13 years. Retired from there, thought I was done, was out about 2 years. Started, there's something missing. I want to go back to work, not exactly sure how this is going to take place. And actually didn't know the mayor either from before that. We had, I believe, some mutual friends that thought he was going to be looking to make a change and knew that I was looking to have a challenge and come back. And we met a couple of times. And then after he won the election, he offered me this job, and I gladly accepted it.
Yeah. So again, I just want to make sure people know I don't like him. He just does a good job as a chief. Yeah. I mean, we got to keep the personal part of it. No, he actually has. I met his wife. I don't know if I've met any of the kids yet, but
I don't think so.
Yeah, but wonderful wife. The biggest thing that I see is Shepherdsville is evolving very quickly. We talk a little bit more of that small town that some people really that are fond of, but it can't be with an interstate running through your city. There's obviously challenges, and obviously for Chief, the thing that I see is it's not 15,000; it's 600,000 cars daily. So he deals with a number of different things. You're talking about trafficking, drug trafficking, and all the different things that happen on 65.
Human trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, that's another one that comes into play. So there's a lot of things that they do from a technology standpoint and the partnerships. I guess that's probably some of the biggest challenges and some of the best opportunities. Right? You deal with the different organizations, and but so obviously. Getting through, the process of being the chief, you set some priorities. What kind of things that you think are important to you moving in the next 2 and 5, 10 years?
Well, some of them are the same thing we talked about when you brought me in, and we talked about was that one of the things I wanted to see, and one of my big focuses is going to be more community outreach, community involvement with the officers. It's always been there. It's a great department, great people that work here. We just need to do a little bit more of a focus on the community outreach. That was 2 of the things that I'd heard about was that they wanted to see us out in the neighborhoods and have interaction.
They do a good job.
We're doing a good job. They were doing a good job. We're doing a better job now, and hopefully in the future we'll just keep continuing on with that. I'd like to see some more programs. We're looking at everything that we can do to do more of the community. I know that coming up on Thanksgiving, the fire department will be doing the trunk or treat in Paraquet Springs. We'll be setting up a booth. We'll be out there with them. We go to the schools. Anytime people ask, I went out and spoke at Brooks Elementary. I think it was 2 weeks ago, just to one of the classes. We're always looking for opportunities. DARE is one of our big programs here that we
really good program. I really enjoy seeing the kids.
And that's where we can get the children to see where they can approach the police. It's not always a confrontational. It should really very seldom. That should be the outlier was when there's confrontational. You want to have a good interaction with the police. And that's what I'm looking to see going forward with our officers is just more the community involvement.
Yeah, the community involvement, a lot of people, I guess, probably don't think about it, but I think a lot of communities where there's kind of an antagonistic view towards the police. I think a lot of that is just because there's not that community outreach. If you actually get to know them and you realize that they're just guys like anybody else.
So the best story that I heard, the analogy between the fire department and the police department, when the fire department becomes They're coming to rescue you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a different way that you see them. They're going, oh.
And sometimes the police are too.
Well, okay, hold on.
Thank you.
Okay,
Depends
hold
on
on.
who you are.
But that was the stereotype that sometimes, police are coming. It's like, you see how the change of the dynamics.
Yeah.
And it's just society has done that.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, not anything fair to any law enforcement personnel. But the thing is, for us, we need to make sure that we continue to do that by being involved in the community. The things that Chief has done and expanded more. Neighborhood watches are going to come back. I'm telling you, we're starting to see an infiltration just because of 65. Kids are coming down here. They're bringing stolen cars and going through neighborhoods, and even stealing cars out of the neighborhood. It's not a lot, but if we want to minimize that in our neighborhoods, they've got it started again. I think it's a great thing. We win more battles when it comes to the criminal activity by having everybody's eyes open, to be paying attention, working together, communicating. That'll actually help the police department really resolve a lot of these things a lot quicker. And once the it's kind of the criminal the neighborhoods, they know, don't come there. They're pretty good about catching us.
Yeah.
You want to have that kind of reputation. Don't do that because it's really tougher there, right?
Right,
Okay,
right.
go find somewhere else. We don't want it anywhere, but we obviously don't want it here. Our job is to make sure we keep our community safe. So I think that's a good thing to do. And we talked about DARE. We talked about neighborhood watches. I think the community involvement does involve different things. And again, because of what you told me, that it's a little different. The whole market thing, labor market, there's not a lot of folks. Well, there's not a lot of folks that are running to the law enforcement.
I was going to say, in the last 3-4 years, has it been harder to find police officers since that kind of, there's been that whole
There has been,
defund the police
but it's
movement?
everywhere. It's not specific to one.
Right,
And
yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of times, all the agencies are chasing the same people, trying to pay a little bit more, get them here and there. Going forward, kind of like the vision, in the future is just going to get actually worse because the pool of eligible people is getting smaller, but the openings are just going to increase. So that's one thing that all the police departments, and we try different things to see how we can increase either retention or the recruitment. One of the things we're starting to look at here, and some of the other agencies in Bullitt County is doing the same thing, is going back to trying to hire brand new people off the street, send them to the academy. Get them. Matter of fact, we have 2 going through the academy right now. I think they're about week 6 of it now. And that's one of the things, because the laterals, which a lot of agencies, sheriff's departments have counted on for years, they're getting to be where they're going to be retiring again, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be bad in the next few years. There's something we'll have to give. We're going to have to be more creative in how we retain people and attract them in the first place.
Well, something to think about here, the trend in the country is beards in a lot of these agencies. And so I guess really looking at that, is that something that might bring people back? I'm not sure. What's your opinion about that?
Personally, I'm older school. I don't like to see
did
it.
you say beards? What are we talking about? Beards.
Oh, I wasn't beers or beards.
I'll take the beards, but I mean, seriously, there's a trend.
No,
right
there's
across the country?
there's a trend across the country to allow beards. We
You guys don't allow?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, what we do-
okay.
I
I
was
thought
really
I thought it was
confused
just
for a
like it was like
second.
a joke question. Okay,
It's like, why
No,
beards?
no,
that's one of the things.
Okay.
Since I've gotten here, is can we have beards? Can we have beards?
Okay.
A lot of places still do not have beards. Some are switching to that to try to see if it'll make a difference.
Yeah.
We have a no shave November.
Okay.
I extend it out usually till March or April, depending on the weather. We've done some little starts with it, and then we take it back. So going forward, that's one of the biggest, most frequent questions I get. Can we get beards? So now we're
Why can't you have beards?
I think it's just a looks
hold on.
thing, I guess, probably.
Yeah. So no, listen,
like a
listen,
uniform
no,
thing?
hold on. I got to make sure I answer this question for him. Okay, I've got
You've got a
his
beard.
answer.
You're not allowed to answer.
No, I
I've
want
got
to hear.
dirt
I'd
on
like
my
to hear.
chin. I've got. This is like 64 years. Just
a little pepper.
Yeah, it's just a little bit here. I got baby face here. So what I had to do that because so if you know anything about the chief, he really has a great attitude towards his job, loves his job, gives 150%. But he is a practical joker, and I want him to know on this video that somebody gave me that question. So,
I have a feeling. Yeah,
and he'll know who it is. But anyway, but I love it because I think what I like about Chief is that he can still be that practical joker and be in law enforcement because I think those are really tough dynamics, right? It's a very tough job that you do.
It's a stressful job.
Yeah, and yet he keeps a practice. So I thought I had to give the inside baseball to that Chief.
That's okay. And like I said, it's just one of those that more and more agencies are going to it. You ask the question. It's just more of historical. This is a way of saying I'm old. But when I started out, there was no tattoos allowed.
I was
There
about to
no
say
beards.
tattoos was a thing.
Can I say something?
I was
about
going to say,
that?
Jose said he was going to answer the question for you, and he did not answer that question
getting ready
at
to-
all.
But that's why he's a mayor.
Here's the answer. Here's the answer to the question: is I think it's his prerogative. If you're the person that's responsible for that agency, like I am as the mayor, then there are times that I'm going to disagree with folks, but it's because of the position I'm in. I'm going to take a stand. To answer the question is, it's kind of like Bobby Brown, My Prerogative.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the song?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't even.
He had some weird prerogatives, though.
Yeah, he did. He was
yeah?
he's a pretty weird guy. I'm not. Bobby Brown has like.
Song didn't age well.
let me tell you. Well, let me tell you something. I'm disappointed because of Whitney.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's really sad. That's a sad situation. Anyway,
Yep.
another conversation.
Well, to finish that too, for
Yes.
whoever asked you that
Yeah.
question, they know too. These have been kind of trial runs because what I explained to the officers we
You're
send
gonna know
out.
who it is.
Wow, yeah. it's one of several. But
of several.
we have enough to do on a daily basis. I don't want to be turned into the beard police to where I've got to
the
look
beard
at everybody's. Okay, is this too long of a beard? Does this go down too far? You know.
Braided.
Well,
Braided.
You don't need any extra things to police, is
yes,
what you're
and,
saying.
and if they police themselves and we don't have issues, maybe it'll extend to all the time. But
Yeah.
you know, we got other things to do, and that's the slippery slope you get into. Well,
You can't,
now I've got to
you can't
say
be having ZZ Top running around.
now I've got to say yours is okay, but his isn't. No, you know, let's just
Right,
let's
right.
And
just
it's
give a
really-
standard
Mine
and
is
follow
better
it.
than his. That's
Oh,
true.
well,
So really, it does give you the justification. He actually answered a whole lot better than I did. But it's the idea that you start looking at things that are preference. I think making the work environment, as we consider the work environment, a place that's conducive to learn, okay, that you work well together, and you believe in your leadership. If you do those things, you're going to have that. And I think we have that in Chief. We have it in, obviously, our Chief Jody, our fire department. We've got good people everywhere. So when we talk to different folks on these podcasts, that's what I want them to see. I want them to see the human side of the fact that these are fit folks that have taken on responsibility with families just like you do, and they just want a better community. Now, their role is going to be different than yours or mine, but the idea is that when you see these people on the podcast, that you'll at least see that these folks are going to be the difference in what happens in the next 5-10 years here. And for Chief, I just like to, we play practical jokes all the time, and when he brings over for me to sign, if he worked that week, I try to ask somebody if they saw him working. Nobody comes to the forefront. I'm like, is anybody, before I sign off on his paycheck, has anybody seen this guy work? What's his name again? So all kidding aside, though, but I am really excited to have him because I think the biggest thing for me is that you can see the differences. You can see the difference in morale. You can see the difference that you see the community. Because I do, when people talk about, hey, the aquatic center, I also get, hey, I really appreciate seeing a.
Brought it up.
Well,
There it is.
I was
It was taking a while. That's 17 minutes into the podcast.
Hey,
That might be a record.
You were supposed to do that beforehand.
Well, you haven't touched all of them, so if I can interrupt
Yes,
just for a
you can.
second.
Yes, Chief.
To win a bet, although I would have brought this up anyway, is that, this is one of the things, the mayor, you brought that up, is that we can always count on the aquatic center, the park, the revitalization of downtown,
Yep.
and I-65 with the 500,000. So, yes, I won the bet.
He knows how to stay on message.
Yes,
I've got 2 of them so far. I didn't do the downtown thing yet. Oh, downtown with Salt River Brewing.
I had to get rid of it. I had to get it out of the
Beer.
way.
No,
so.
no. When we talk beer, we stop the show. We're going to have happy hour on the podcast.
Happy hour?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's 9 o'clock on a Friday, but I'm thinking it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
I guess.
I mean, we could.
It's my bedtime here.
Yeah.
We'll put you to sleep. For just.
Eli's not old enough.
I know we can. Yeah, we can.
That too, but also it's my bedtime.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I do think that I want people to get to know the folks that are in it, and that's why we do this, Chief. And I really appreciate you coming on because I think for me, when you look at what's going to happen, it's again, I told you when we started this thing, it's changing all the time, and it's challenging, right? I mean, we're going to have a growth spurt over the next 10 years. And because people want to live here, because of that aquatic center,
Yeah.
because of the downtown
And the police chief.
and the police
Thank you.
chief.
Thank you.
Now
And the
that they know who he is.
So you have you're working on a fund. You got a fund that you're working on.
That's one of the things. Well, I was hoping it'd already be in there. We ran into a little problem with the CPA, but one of the things I've been working on about the last 6 to 8 months has been a police foundation to try to help off the officers have a little something extra. But it also it's bringing people in from the community that's going to sit on a board, and I'm also hoping that that's another example of how we can work together and be known reach out to the community members and vice versa, and then word will spread. People get involved. We can have some public events. Try to work together to get that community outreach we talked about. We were hoping to have it by Thanksgiving. Don't think it's going to be, so hopefully by the 1st of next year it'll be up and running and have a little bit more information we can pass out on that one too.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know it or not. Chief gave me a lame excuse for not being in the dunking booth.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So if he fights us this year,
What was the excuse?
he doesn't like closed quarters like that. Is that what it was? Okay. And I
Should have been like, I don't want to get my gun wet, or
I'm just not going in there to get it. So
well, we do a lot of things, and it seems to me that people like the presence. I think that's the best compliment you can make is people tell me about the different things that are going on, but they mention we see more folks coming through. We see our police officers coming through the neighborhoods, and we got to know. And they have what people forget though, and Chief brought this to my attention. It's important. Yes, if your house gets robbed, that's rough, or somebody steals something from your property in any shape or form, it's rough. But is it what kind of reaction, what kind of plan do you put together if it's 1 versus 25? And so to utilize your resources from the law enforcement standpoint, I want people to hear this podcast and say, hey, we are going to listen, we're going to find ways to help, but keep everything realistic. In this, where there's no zero-sum game when it comes to somebody wanting doing some harm or stealing something. It's just we don't have we don't have enough people to do that. And especially, like I said, some of the challenges on I-65 that we talk about. Those things are real conversations. If people want to have good conversations, because we know if it's on Facebook, it's true.
Of course.
Of course it is. So people have opinions, and I would prefer them to stay with some facts. Mm-hmm. And again, we keep reiterating
it's
that
no
because
fun.
You got to do that. This personal opinion stuff. I mean, personal opinions.
It's way more fun just to yell your opinion at the wind. And just,
so let's bring up one. Since we're talking about that, did you know that the city forced the school board to sell that property to us so we can make the football fields parking lots for our aquatic center?
Ah, evil city.
Did you see that?
Yeah, you told me about that before the podcast off the record.
Yes. Well, it's on the record now.
Completely honest.
It's on the record. And so what I'm thinking
Not
is...
joking.
So would you stop it over there? You just stay asleep.
Arrest him.
Yeah. Tase him first.
No.
Tase him first, Chief. Come on now. $5. All right. So what? It's just amazing that those things can be said, and somebody goes, "No." It's like, and most good people just don't want to get in the middle of that fray because once you're in there, just like piranhas.
Yeah.
And so I bring that up because they do the same thing about the police department, right? Or any agency. It's like, why don't you bring facts? And then if you do, come and see us. His door is always open to talk to anybody about concerns. I know anytime I send something to him, he'll look at it. And again, it's not always easy. We talk about our challenges are transient. We have the jail, and then we have 65 that we have folks that stop in our city just wandering around.
Yeah.
Eli's still doing that.
Yep. That's what he does.
Yeah. So I think it's important for those folks. I know they're less fortunate because I met a gentleman the other day that was out there, and I know it's rough.
Yeah.
And, and you do what you think as a Christian. I bought him some breakfast, and I don't know what the situation is going to be for some of these folks, and I know it's challenging. And it seems like, is it more, our society? And it seems like inflation.
It's definitely more, yeah.
We see more challenges out there, and they see them when they're out patrolling. And so we're trying to find ways that law enforcement works with the city in the sense of trying to help these individuals. We're trying to find agencies that we can take them to, people that can actually try to help them.
Yeah.
But they got to want help first, too. I always bring that up. But so I know that's part of the challenges he runs into because I'm always calling him.
Speaking of challenges, what are some of the biggest challenges that you see in Shepherdsville? I mean, like, since you've been doing the job, what are the things that you notice that you have to deal with a lot?
Not including the mayor.
Not including the mayor.
Well, the rest are easy after that. One of the things that always comes back to is it seems to be homeless.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with the homeless? How are we going to help them? Is it transient? Do we have, what's the base population here?
Yeah.
We've gone out and talked, and typically, we'll go up and ask whoever we see, hey, do you need some help? Is there anything wrong? What can we do to help you? Sometimes you won't see those people again. They're literally just passing through I-65. There are a few here, and the problem we run into, and the mayor and everything else, is that some people, they just don't want to accept the help. They don't want to help. That's their lifestyle, and whatever we do. So, truly is, how do you deal with that? And
Right,
that's the big question.
Yeah, I was going to say the hardest part for me in this is the compassion we all have. We want to do something to help somebody, but you got to help yourself first.
Yeah.
And until you do that, there's a never-ending cycle. If you're not willing to help yourself with drugs, there's two places you're going to be. One or two. You'll be in jail or in the ground. And I think it's unfortunate. And I guess where you lost that value of life, I don't know. But I do know that we want to try to help. We're working on resources here to try to help some folks. But I think at this point, it's a challenge because we do this all, we do feel bad. We don't know what the right answer is all the time. But if you're looking for help, we can probably find you to get you some food. And there's job opportunities, really. And so we do have some people that are local. It's a small population, but the transient piece is kind of those pieces that if you let them feel like it's comfortable to be here, they stay.
Yeah, and a lot of them are suffering from like mental illnesses
And
and,
that's
stuff like
that's
that, where
right.
it's hard for them to get a job.
And it's going to
like
take a lot of different groups working together, but eventually, sometimes you'll just run across the person that they don't want the help, and it's there. The other couple of the other main things, and like I said, you can go through and like, if I'm a victim, my car's stolen, well, that should be the biggest concern. Or if I've had something stolen out of my yard. But we are lucky in Shepherdsville that a lot of the things you see in other cities, we have the same crime as everybody else. It's on a much lower scale. And a lot of that, I think, is due to the citizens out here watching out for each other. The police department, we're in the neighborhoods, we're out watching. But, it's funny, we can sit here and say, well, it's drugs or it's this or that. But typically when you talk to people, it's going to come down to the first one I mentioned, and it always comes back to traffic.
Yeah.
Traffic issues. What are y'all going to do about this? What are you going to do about that? Well, when you look at the way it was built and designed, there wasn't a lot of forethought into how things were designed.
Planning.
And so, some of it you just have to work through. The big thing is we get about the school traffic or the school zones. Well,
that's where the schools are.
So no, I got an idea. I'm gonna start a kayak business, and we're gonna take you one at a time across the Salt River. For $5, I'll kayak you across.
They've already got those rafts down there. Maybe you could just buy that.
I could use the rafts.
There you go.
So I'll take care of that for you, Chief.
we got it.
I got traffic solved. Because I was going to go out there on 65 with a whistle. It didn't seem like that was one of my better
That's
ideas.
what we need a ferry. You know
That's
what I mean?
what we
Like,
need.
just to ferry people in.
across
Yeah,
the
it could be,
people.
yeah.
Be like, what's that city? Is it Venice? Is that what it's called?
Venice, the one,
Yeah,
that's like
where
water.
you boat every. Yeah.
If they can do it, we can do it.
Chief, I'm here for you. We are going to work together to solve
We're
the traffic
just as
problem.
beautiful as Venice. No.
There you go.
Yeah, you need to go back to sleep. Just go back to sleep. All right.
And that's the school zones are the big thing. But the other thing, people have to realize, and we get the phone calls, or like I said, I typically try to avoid looking at Facebook. But someone will say, the big thing was when they were doing all the construction on 65.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's something we're going to have to learn to live with because,
Right,
whatever you come up with your solution or say can be done, when you put 4 or 6 lanes of interstate traffic onto 2-lane country road going through Shepherdsville, where are you going to direct the traffic to?
Right.
Yeah.
So one thing, and this is something we can check in, is seeing the news over the last couple of days, they were talking about how they'll have everything done on 65 by November, and they're doing the one on Gene Snyder finishing.
Sure, they will.
Well, they were.
Yeah,
my understanding was they were supposed to start going northbound next year. So I don't know if that's
gonna
been
be
put on
construction for a
pause.
while,
And
in this area.
that's one of the things people are going to have to realize here. If that does take place and they rip up the interstate,
I was about
like
to say
they did.
northbound would be worse.
Well,
wouldn't it?
my understanding was I thought they were supposed to where they stopped, just what was it down
LJ.
just north of LJ. They were supposed to do the same from there all the way up to Brooks Exit.
Yeah, and they are.
And if they rip up the interstate from there, you can imagine the issues
It's
we're
going to be a
have here.
challenge. And so the thing is, for a lot of folks, the locals have to find alternatives during that time. But you're talking about a full year. I mean, by the time they start to say, remember when everything did at LJ. And I guess this is the part of the podcast we want people. If you pay attention to this stuff, we like to joke. I think it's going to be. You got to have some fun in this. But there are some content that if you'll listen, and again, we'll do everything we can. I know that they actually put some things out there. KYTC can put out information on when these things are happening. So you do a better job. You leave a little bit early. You find different routes.
Yeah.
And for at least the locals, I mean, I know that there's somewhere in this world that businesses are going to get really frustrated with their tractor trailers sitting in a parking lot on 65, that they're going to give us some kind of alternative. But obviously, we'd love to see a bridge about 2 miles east of 65
Yeah.
that connects the 480 to 44.
Then you wouldn't have to have a raft.
Well, I'll keep that business long enough. I still have. It won't be near the scale it will be right now because I'm going to have to get 1,000 kayaks and 1,000 employees. Make sure I keep all these people moving across the Salt River.
You got to jam up the
this.
Salt River.
I'm not saying anything because I would lose my job.
On that one, hey, well, listen. First of all, we're going to finish up here, but I want to tell you, Chief, I appreciate you coming on. We have a great time. He's got a great demeanor when it comes to being in law enforcement. I think there are real serious challenges that most of us just ignore. We don't mean to, but we're not there. We're not that first. We talk about different things in the fire department, police department. There's a different way that they approach it. Mm-hmm. Right? It's a very 1-second decision that a lot of these law enforcement make that we don't think about.
Oh yeah.
I watch a lot of body cam videos. Thank you very much. I think a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
My dad does too. My dad loves them. He's like, I love police videos. They're so funny.
Love them. Yeah. So I think about it pretty often.
Well, that does give people a good idea of what the officers see on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's got to be like the worst case scenario stuff that you're seeing. Can't it? I mean, like, there's no way you're not seeing that on a daily basis. Like, the stuff on those body cam videos are crazy.
He's like, I fought 3 people today. No.
Yeah.
Well, it just depends, and it's all where you work. But that gives a good idea of, usually when you see something goes wrong, that's the video that keeps getting played over again. But when you see, the good interactions, you see the bad interactions where nothing happens and how the officers are talked to in some cases. It's eye-opening to let people know, what they actually see and what they do on a daily basis. And what we're lucky here in Shepherdsville is that we have the community support, not just for us, but the first responders, EMS. And that's one of the things is we work so well together out here. We share equipment. Any one other agency asks for help, we all share. But it all comes back to the community backs us, and they look out for us too. And that's a really good two-way street. And it's much different working out here than other places I work because of the level of community support we have.
I was about to say, how is this compared to Jefferson County?
It's different.
That's what I'm saying. It's fine. You're in Shepherdsville now.
No, it's
he still has friends that work in other agencies.
It's different, and there's different cultures that it's different. Yeah. But I will say that the level of support out here is much higher than other places I've worked.
Yeah.
And you can go out, you just get people come up, they will offer to buy your lunch if you're out at a restaurant. They will come up to you at stores and just thank you for what you're doing. Yeah. And that has never wavered since I've been out here. We went through a few bad years, but with our world, it sometimes goes in a pendulum. We can't do anything right, we can't do anything wrong. Somewhere in the middle is probably the best thing for all of us. But we're very lucky to work here, and that's one of the things about the community engagement. That's how you keep that level of trust with the community, and I think it's high, and we want to make it a little bit better.
So on the podcast, after 22 months, you okay working with me? Just asking for a friend. Different.
A friend.
It's different. Just say different.
It's different. No, he's very easy to work for. He's great to us. He's been good to me. He's been good to the city or to the department. Anything we've asked for, I should say, good or great. Yeah. And I know this is one of the things that they had Chief Jody Craig. About was he the best mayor? And I'm prepared today to say that he's the best mayor in this room right now.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's awesome. Yeah. So. We're going to miss you. Now, listen, first of all, thank you for being here and being a good sport. We had to throw a couple of darts at you, but I do think that people need to know that I've got a very, very good man.
Well,
and
thank you.
I'm honored to have you as the chief of Shepherdsville because I think you're going to continue to do the good things and being involved in the community. So there's one last thing you have to do, Chief, and you know it. You know ahead of time. You've been practicing?
I've been practicing, but everybody has to say it right.
Oh, yes. Everybody has to say it. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do
okay.
Is you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I know you've been practicing. I saw you practicing the other day over there.
Yeah.
Right,
you saw him in the bathroom looking in the mirror.
Love, peace, chicken grease. Thank you, Chief.
All right,
thank you all.